On December 3rd, the World Conference on International Telecommunications will convene in Dubai, and leaders in the tech community are afraid, very afraid. Can any good come from the united conglomeration of morally equivalent nations, the United Nations, seeking to update the 1988 International Telecommunications Regulations that govern international telecommunication? Did you follow all that? I'm Allen Barton. Stand by for the front page. Joining me today to talk tech are Terry Jones of Investors Business Daily and Doug Altner of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights. Before we get to the discussion, I should explain we are going with the Charlie Rose look because we're upgrading software, hardware, and reprogramming the very staff here at Front Page to bring you an improved visual experience in 3D coming soon to a computer screen near you. All right, gentlemen, the purported need to update the ITR regulations that there is broad consensus that they need to be updated. So let's look at what this broad consensus is in the words of the Secretary General, Dr. Torre, making the case.
Wiki 12 is where these fundamental issues will be. Is about putting ICTs in the hands of all the world's people. It is about building global consensus on strategies to promote the free flow of information, the continued development of broadband, the use of smart technologies to combat climate change, the business models that will promote continued investment in the networks, services, and applications we all now rely on, and a shared vision of how to create a harmonious international environment that will continue to drive the innovation that is the lifeblood of the ICT sector.
Not since Harry Reid have I seen such a charismatic speaker, but whenever I hear any bureaucrat talking about a shared vision of a harmonious future, I get a chill running down my back and I want to load up with some weapons. What do you think? What is he talking? What are they talking about here? What are these regulations? What do they do? I think a lot of people probably don't understand what would it change about their experience of the internet.
Well, essentially they want government control over, individual government control and collective government control through the UN of the internet. And you know, you can strip away all the gobbledygook, you can strip away all the acronyms and the UN this and the UN that, and the talk about this being, you know, they want a smart approach to, you know, reducing climate change. What this is, plain and simple, is an assault on free speech, on your ability to speak your mind via a new technology and to be informed by that new technology. And if we give in on this, it is a very dangerous thing for our democracy and for the world.
Doug, Google over here stateside is creating a website urging people to take action against increased ITU influence over the regulations. And they argue that the current organizations that are sort of get this thing to function day to day, like ICON, are way more transparent. So what do you think of this move here towards UN control and regulation of the internet?
Well, the internet has been one of the most amazing revolutions in the history of human civilization. Do we really want the government to get in the way and to start mucking it up and slowing it down? Or even worse, do we want the UN, of all places, getting in the way and slowing it down? Just think of the kind of things that'll be discussed here. They'll be discussing censorship. Do we now want US citizens' freedom on the internet to be subject to what the Chinese government thinks as to what should be censored? Do we now want US citizens or internet service providers with their rights to be able to use their technology as they see fit? Should they now have to listen to some backwards third world country that doesn't even have this kind of infrastructure telling them what they should?
Aren't they also talking about weird sort of transfer taxes as well in terms of the use of internet, that like you sending an email, like sort of modeling it on how they did it with telephones and wired phones? The last time they did this in the 80s, I guess. Same thing, same concept with email, right? So there'd be a vast wealth transfer from those countries that have a lot of internet and do a lot of email to those that don't, right?
Yeah, and the problem is, you know, here in the U.S., it's handled by private companies. So the money is not going to government because it's providing a service for you. It's going to the government because they want to grab money from you. So it has nothing to do with service. It has nothing to do with your ability to maintain the internet. It's merely another form of taxation. And by the way, You know, the UN has become hyperactive once Obama got reelected. They're contemplating things on disabilities, foisting UN standards for disabilities on Americans. They're looking at gun control for member nations. These are all things that are anathema to Americans, and Americans should be standing up right now, writing to their congressmen and saying no. No to all of that.
Well, it goes to the broader issue, expanding past the specific internet issue, is the one of like a world governance issue. Because, you know, as Terry says, there are these sort of creepy little missives that come out of the UN. I mean, beyond their bungling incompetence and stupidity on just about everything they do, there is this creeping sense of like, well, that they would actually control, to some degree, economic activity in the United States, or even that they would have some sort of say over judicial activity in the United States.
Yeah, and they really shouldn't. People need to recognize government is force. All it can really do is ban and punish. So we don't want more government involved in the internet, because what government regulation of the internet is going to amount to is just banning voluntary activities of services that some business might want to offer to its clients.
All right, so given the backlash on our own legislature's face, because you know they tried to pass the Online Privacy Act, SOPA or PIPA, and all these things, and everyone went crazy about it. Do you think that there is enough traction, particularly with younger Americans who are have been brought up now with the internet, that they could make an impact on legislatures? Because that actually seemed to work with the Online Privacy Act.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the average young person understands what's at stake, because they have this wonderful thing that lets them communicate as they wish and get access to information as they wish, and they probably don't want to see that impeded. If I were a Republican congressman, I would make this a big issue in my district. Hey, guess who Republicans have a big problem with? They have a big problem with young people because they don't see them as connected to them in any way. Right. This is one of those things where Republicans, who should be freedom-oriented, should take the ball and run with it, rather than just letting this be something that's taken care of at the ambassadorial level.
Well, one of the more prominent House Republicans, Darrell Issa, he wants a bill that's going to ban internet regulations for 2 years. You know, are there any regulations here that make sense in terms of how the internet works? You know, are there interagency things that act in a cooperative fashion to make it function the way we expect to?
You know, there are always groups and agencies that do sort of interoperability agreements, where you say, well, we want to make sure that this side can communicate with that side. Those tend to be technical in nature. We're talking about something fundamentally different here. We're talking about government agencies and UN agencies and transnational agencies having actual control over content flowing on the internet.
Regulating
that is
content
dangerous.
And monetizing and doing transfer tax on the use of the internet.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for that discussion. For Doug and Terry, I'm Allen Barton, and you've been watching Front Page.